Hello and welcome everyone to the New Health Conversation. My name is Peter Greenlaw, and as you can see in the headline, the world's top medical journal, Nature Communications, unveils a study that will make every single diet obsolete. I don't care what diet you're on, counting calories, they don't work in the long run anyway. But this is absolutely, actually, the Nature Communications is one of 10. There are 10 new peer-reviewed human trial studies proving this new approach. It was invented or discovered by the top weight loss researchers in the world. For 38 years, they've done 100 studies, thousands of people trying to figure this out, and they cracked the code. It's so powerful that men and women in the first 7 days of doing this lost as much weight as any diet these researchers ever studied in 38 years. They lost as much weight in a month as a year on diets, losing no water and gaining 6 to 9% lean muscle mass. Most women lose a whole dress size in 7 days. Most men lose 2 to 4 inches off their waist. No one was allowed to exercise because the researchers didn't want exercise to be part of it. These researchers who invented this basically figured out why diets don't work. And here's why they don't work. A diet is not based on calories. Okay, let's get that out of the way. A diet is based on the lack of nutrition. What happens are in our body, we have a minimum amount of nutrition that we have to have in order for all of our organs to function. When you go on a diet, you're lowering the amount of food you're consuming. You're also lowering the amount of nutrition. When the brain figures that out, it freaks out, goes in starvation mode, prevents you from burning fat, and turns your muscles into fuel to run the organs. But that's so inefficient that the brain still has to slow down metabolism. That's why you plateau on diets. That's why you come off these diets, you gain everything back. But the worst thing it does to you by losing lean muscle mass, it also slows down or inhibits the functionality of your own immune system. So the very diet that you're really excited about, where you lost weight, got in your skinny jeans, whatever, is doing something to you. It's not doing something for you. It's doing two of the most unhealthy things that could ever happen. And the problem is, people are gaining all their weight back, and 95% of what they're gaining back is fat. Now, you don't have to believe me. I'm going to show you medical proof about this whole turnaround in the medical establishment about counting calories. The first one is a report from Harvard Medical School. Stop counting calories. Listen to what they said. Most people have been taught that losing weight is a matter of simple math. Cut calories, specifically 3,500, and you'll lose about a pound. But as it turns out, experts are learning that this decades-old strategy is totally misguided. They go on to say, this idea of a calorie in, calorie out when it comes to weight loss is not only antiquated, it's just wrong, says Fatima Stanford, obesity specialist, Harvard Medical School. Drop the calories notion, Stanford said. It's time to concentrate on what's in our food, not how much food we're consuming. There's the downfall of all these diets, because at the end of the day, when they've measured muscle mass, people are losing up to 40% of the lean muscle mass. So the more effective you are on the diet, the worse off you are, and the more likelihood you're going to gain everything back. As is in this other report, they said why you shouldn't count calories. This is not my opinion. I'm reading from the articles, right? Truth is, calorie counting is a terrible approach for weight loss. While counting calories and restricting calories can help you lose weight in the short term, the approach has never been proven to keep weight off long term. And what's even worse is 2/3 of people that try to count or restrict calories gain back more weight than they lost. So you're literally going on a diet to gain weight, or 66 and 2/3 of you. Did you know that? This is the reality. We have 80% of America overweight, 50% obese, 50% pre-diabetic. In 1964, it was about 3.6% of the population was overweight or obese. And now we're at 80% overweight, 50% obese, 50% pre-diabetic. Honestly, do any of you think diets work? The whole point behind what we're doing, and I'm going to post the website for you, the New Health Conversation. You can go there at any moment. You can see the medical proof. If you go to the website, we won't contact you. No way. We don't do that. We're scientists. We're giving you every opportunity to be completely transparent and show you the medical proof, including an interview with the #1 weight loss nutrition physiologist in the world. He and his team came up with this, and I'm going to go over it with you in just a moment. What did they do? How did they do this? As crazy, as unbelievable as it may seem. I mean, how excited would men or any of you be if you could lose as much weight safely in 7 days that would take you 8 weeks on a diet? And the weight you're losing on a diet is the most unhealthy weight you could ever have. How about losing as much weight in 30 days as a year on any diet, losing no water and gaining 6 to 9% lean muscle mass? This is what you have available to you. Now, these researchers, what they figured out was this. The reason the diets didn't work was very simple. When you go on a diet, you're reducing the amount of food. I don't care if it's paleo, keto, Mediterranean, count your carbs, whatever it is. That's at the end of the day, that's what's going on. But what they never tell you is when you lower the amount of food you're consuming, you're also lowering the amount of nutrition. The brain freaks out, goes in starvation mode, prevents you from burning fat, and turns your muscles into fuel. So they said, the researchers, could we come up with a protocol where we could lower the amount of food people consumed, but not lower the amount of nutrition? Okay? Well, here's one of the big fallacies out there. This whole idea, well, I eat healthy, I eat whole foods, etc. Our food in this country is becoming almost nutritionally bankrupt. So the researchers, they knew this. So they limited. So basically what they did was created a month's worth of food to start out with, depending on what the people needed to have happen. Okay, so first, only 30% of the food that people consumed in the studies, or you'd consume, came from foods in North America. The other 70% came from foods from around the world, from Russia, Mongolia, from Tibet and the Himalayas, South America, New Zealand, that represented massive amounts of nutrition, but not massive amounts of quantity of food. So they created what they called the world's most perfect meal. Now, what I want to explain to you is the protocol itself. The researchers don't sell you anything. We don't sell you anything. Basically, you're buying food for a month, but only 30% from your grocery store and the other 70% from these suppliers from around the world. So you're buying, that's what you're buying directly from them. It's not through us, right? But then they had the ingredients, right? Now they had to create two new ways of consuming the food. So think of it. When you go cooking, you can have the ingredients, but if you don't have a recipe, you don't have anything. Well, that's what basically the researchers, they created a recipe and they created two new ways of consuming food. The first one's called protein pacing, where 5 days a week, you literally have 4 meals a day. You heard me. Nothing like a diet. You start your morning with the world's most perfect meal. Lunch is from the grocery list. Third meal from the grocery list. And a fourth meal is your last meal of the day from the world's most perfect food. They represent massive amounts of nutrition, not massive amounts of quantity, okay? Then 2 days a week out of 7, you do something called intermittent nutritional fasting, not time-restricted eating. On those days, no food from the grocery store and only these 5 foods from around the world. And again, you have 4 meals over the course of about 3 hours in between each one over the course of a day. Look, the researchers had the proof. In the first 30 days when they did the analysis with people, people's hunger went down 41%. Despite the fact they were having 4 meals a day, because it didn't matter. It wasn't about quantity, it was about quality, okay? It's just like your car and your gas. Your gas in your car. Let's say pump number 1 is $3.50 a gallon. The sign says you get 20 miles to the gallon. Pump number 2 is $4 a gallon. The sign says you get 100 miles to the gallon. That's the principle these researchers worked on. Could they lower the amount of food, which they did, but not lower the amount of nutrition, which they did? So, what were the results? After the first 7 days, men and women had lost as much weight in 7 days as 8 weeks of any diet they'd ever studied in 38 years, okay? Then in a month, people lost as much weight as a year, lost no water, gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass. Now, here's the amazing thing. That's the least important reason to do this. Let's go to the medical facts. Okay, in the studies, blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol, triglycerides all came down dramatically in 30 days. Triglycerides came down like 25% in 30 days. Hunger, as I mentioned, came down 41% in a month. But here was the big one. For the first time ever, they measured inflammation. That's the underlying cause of the aches and pains and about every disease out there, right? That came down in a month by 25%. No diet's ever produced anything like this, right? That's not even the main reason to do this. The main reason to do this is to combat this new medical syndrome called TDOS. The T is for toxicity, the D is for deficiency, the O is for being overweight, and the S is for stress. It's a registered trademark, U.S. Patent Office. Yes, I did discover it, but that has nothing to do with it. The U.S. Patent Office, I could be a nice guy. They don't give you out registered trademarks until they vet it. They go around the world seeing if there's anything similar, because once they give you the R, you're protected from anybody copying what you're doing, right? So what it means is we're drinking, we're breathing, we're eating chemicals. And as they enter our body, the body's taking the chemical and stuffing it inside our fat cells. That's why people complain. It's not just about how much weight they have, but how much fat they have in their body. So our body's evolving to store the chemicals. Well, in the clinical studies, they did blood, stool, urine, and fat analysis and proved that this was assisting our body in removing the chemicals from the body. That's the main reason to do this. Oh, and by the way, you can lose weight 8, 10, 12 times faster than on any diet without the loss of water, and instead of losing lean muscle, actually gaining 6 to 9% lean muscle mass. But this is a huge deal. And every living, breathing person on the planet has the TDOS syndrome, whether they know it or not. Now, what's interesting is only in 2005 was the first study ever done on human beings, Mount Sinai Medical School in New York, and discovered that we were storing chemicals inside of our fat cells. Now, let's fast forward 19 years later, many studies, but let me sort of give you a summary, because this is really important that you understand what you're up against. Whether you do this or not, it's not going to change the fact you have TDOS syndrome. What you do about it, that's up to you. So let me read from this this report. The Endocrine Society, the largest organization of experts devoted to the research on hormones and the clinical practice of endocrinology, reports that the rise in the incidence of obesity matches the rise in the distribution of industrialized chemicals. They call these chemicals obesogens. They go on to say, obesogens, simply put, obesogens are chemicals that disrupt the function of our hormonal system, leading to weight gain and many of the diseases that curse the American populace. They enter our body from a variety of sources, from natural compounds in soy, hormones fed to animals, plastics in food packaging, chemicals added to processed food, and pesticides sprayed in our produce. They act in a variety of ways, mimicking human hormones such as estrogen, blocking the action of other hormones such as testosterone, and essentially reprogramming us to gain weight. Did you know about obesogens before this podcast today? Which influences are telling you about that? None, zero. We're storing chemicals inside our body. This study gave us hope that the body, if you give it the right nutrition, it can help get rid of this stuff. That should be your main goal. It's not a matter, do you have TDOS or not? You have TDOS, whether you know it or not. Now, you can roll the dice and hope that those chemicals don't come out of those fat cells and do really bad things to us. But there's a reason. You know, America, we're dying. Do you know that our life expectancy has gone down like 10 years in the last like 25 or 30 years? Japan is like 10 years ahead of us. We're spending almost 4 times as much as the industrialized world on sick care, and yet we have about the 79th best outcome. What are we doing? The food is, it's almost nutritionally bankrupt. Because the food manufacturers figured out that by putting chemicals and sugar in our food, it's way cheaper than putting nutrition. And what's the outcome? 80% overweight, 50% obese, 50% pre-diabetic. 50% of our kids are overweight, and a third of them are diabetic or pre-diabetic. Do you know that type 2 diabetes in children about 30 years ago was almost never seen? What are we doing? I mean, again, January 2nd is coming, I know, and people's big New Year's resolution, they want to go on a diet, they want to lose weight. But none of these diets work in the long run. It's not up for debate. It's what's going on. As a matter of fact, let me show you a couple more big studies. This one done by the New England Journal of Medicine, 12 months, a year. They took one group of people, had them lower calories for the year. The other group did this time-restricted eating where you don't eat for 16 hours and eat for 8. It's just another fancy diet. That's all it is, right? But what were the results? After 12 months, the people who lowered calories lost on average 16 pounds. That's in a year. The people doing time-restricted eating on average lost about 12.6 pounds in a year, and both those lowering calories and those doing time-restricted eating lost up to 40% of their lean muscle mass. There's your Achilles heel to any of these diets. You're losing up to, you're losing weight. We're not arguing that. You know that you can, as a matter of fact, I have a report over here. This is a summary right here of 110 different diets with the craziest names you could ever imagine. I mean, this is how nuts we are as a society that we're so desperate to lose weight. How about the false Mayo Clinic diet? I read some of these and I just started, is this real? How about the diet of Sleeping Beauty? How about the cookie diet? How about, I know I've got a couple more great ones. How about the F-plan diet? How about, my God, Fit for Life? How about the rotation diet? How about the moon diet? That sounds like a good one. What, do you got to fly to the moon to lose weight? Do you see how insane this whole thing is? And this whole thing about counting calories is nonsense. Let me give you a better example. So they're telling us, the people that argue with me, and they love to argue, you don't know what you're talking about. It's about calories in, calories out. Really? Okay, so if it's just a mathematical equation, then let's do an experiment. Let's take 2,000 calories. We're going to go on 2 different diets, okay? Option 1 is lean, salad, chicken, whatever, 2,000 calories. Remember, they're telling you it only matters the number, right? The other 2,000 calories, are 3 bags of M&Ms. I'm doing the M&Ms diet. I'm being facetious, of course. Do you see the lunacy of this? Why have we been brainwashed for this for years? You know, they started counting calories in the 1800s. Did you know that? And like I said, in 1964, 3.6% of the population overweight and obese. And 64 years later, 80% overweight, 50% obese, 50% pre-diabetic. What diet do you think you're going to go on that works? None of them work long term. What's the point of doing a diet, starving, doing all the things, being miserable, only to gain all the weight back? And you think it was you or you picked the wrong diet. They're all the same. Let me prove it to you again. Big study done in the Journal of the American Medical Association, 12 months again. This time, the Journal of the American Medical Association, they analyzed 48 different studies, 7,286 people. And it was all the major, Jenny Craig, Weight Watchers, Nutrisystem, Paleo, Keto, Mediterranean, Cornish, Atkins, Zone Diet, Eat for Your Blood Type, across the board. When they looked at the numbers from the most amount of weight loss on any diet to the least amount of weight loss in a year, it was 10 ounces. What? And what they said the average weight loss was about 16 pounds, and up to 40% of what people lost was lean muscle mass. Again, what are you doing? You're doing what everybody else is doing. You're doing what we've been told. You're counting calories because, oh, that makes sense. Oh, we're going to lower the amount of calories. Well, there's a big problem. Everybody doesn't know what a calorie is. Did you know that? You know that a calorie is just a measurement. It's the amount of heat it takes to raise a gram of water 1 degree Celsius. It's nothing more, nothing less. Why are you counting calories? Please tell me. If you want, you don't have to. Do you see, are you getting, do you all understand this? So the researchers, they looked at this and said, wait a minute, after 38 years, 100 studies, thousands of people, diets don't work in the long run because they had people lose weight. They literally told me you could lose weight. Well, you saw one was I think it was the cookie diet. They said you could lose weight on the Dunkin' Donut diet. You could lose weight on the Coca-Cola diet, but they work until they don't. Now let's talk about the shots for just a minute, which I'm not against. They're helping diabetics and they're helping people morbidly obese. But what are the real results? You can look this up yourself. You don't have to believe me. You can go to the New England Journal of Medicine, semaglutide, 68-week study. Okay? At the end of 68 weeks, the average weight loss was 32 pounds after that's a year and 4 months. Okay? And they said of the 32 pounds that people lost, up to 40% was lean muscle mass. Again, and I know because I'm working with a big clinic in Denver, they got about 500 people in the shot. Every person's losing lean muscle mass. And talk to people who come off the shot. They're gaining as much as a half a pound a day because all the shot is, it slows the food moving down through your digestive tract. So you eat less. Code word, you're consuming less food, which code word, you're consuming less nutrition. Do you all understand the difference now? Do you understand why all these prognosticators, influencers, they're giving you really bad advice? They're setting you up for failure. You're going to lose weight, no question. But it's going to come back, and 95% of what you're gaining back is fat, not muscle, not because of my opinion, because of the medical proof. See, what we're doing for you, we're giving you medical proof. Nothing is my opinion. I don't want you to believe me. Why would you believe me? I'm the researcher of the researchers. That's what I am. And we're bringing it to you for free. That website down there, the New Health Conversation, you can go and see the medical proof there. Or not, it's up to you. Because if you go to that website, we're not going to contact you. We're not going to call you up. We don't do that. We're scientists. But if you decide that you like what you see, you can scroll down and sign up for a free, and I mean free consultation with one of our coaches. Coaches have done the protocol, been trained. And if you do decide to do it, the coaches will follow you the whole time for free. See, the program itself, basically what you're doing, forget the food you bought in December. Let's just say you could start with a clean slate in November, okay? So the researchers, essentially what they're providing to you is a new food list, okay? 30% of the food you're going to consume from the grocery store, it's all healthy stuff, right? Like proteins, fats, carbs, et cetera. But the other 70%, the researchers found other researchers who had found food groups from areas of from the far reaches of the world, from Russia, Mongolia, Tibet, and the Himalayas, South America, New Zealand, that had huge amounts of nutrition, not huge amounts of volume. And basically what you're doing, you're buying food. That's what you're doing. That's the program that they invented. Okay? They don't have lotions, potions, pills, capsules. You're buying food. So just imagine whatever you bought in December, forget that, and start here with what they use in the medical trials. By the way, the people who, like I said, 30% of what you're going to buy is from, and you get a food list, and the other 5 foods, the researchers, they figured it out. The role of our coaches is to help you, well, number one, to go over everything with you, answer your questions. But then if you do want to decide, they'll show you how to order. But you're ordering directly from the suppliers. You're not ordering from our coaches. They'll just help you with, okay, this is how you order, et cetera. Then they're going to coach you and show you exactly what to do. As a matter of fact, you also get, if you go through it, this was developed by the researchers. They call it the Blueprint for Success. And it actually, these yellows, they're all daily tutorials with the researchers. It's all free. So the only thing you're buying is, look, you have to eat. This, I know it sounds so good to be true. You think it's some lotion, potion, pill, other thing like you're going to buy food and you're going to, no. You're just buying food you can't buy in your supermarket. Well, at least 70% of it. Am I making sense to everybody? But it's really important that you understand the coaching is critical, because it's like you're going to bake something. Okay, you got the ingredients, but as you know, without a recipe, what are you going to make? You're not going to make anything. What temperature for how long is it? So the researchers laid all this out. That's what we're going to teach you and make available to you. But think of it this way, how much is it? You're buying your food for the month. And probably when you look at 30% of what you're spending and the other 70%, that's what people tell me. They feel they've spent about what they are now, but look at the difference in the food that you're getting. And this program, the research is called R2M. You know what that stands for? Race to Maintenance. Because the idea is not a question, can you lose the weight? That's like a joke. Of course that's going to happen. That once you get to your goal that you're at the end of the beginning, then they teach you how to maintain it. Because what good is it to do it if you're going to lose the weight like on a diet and get everything back? 22 years ago, I lost 40 pounds in 7 weeks. I've kept it off for 22 years. Wouldn't that be of value to you? But how excited would you be, man or woman, to stand on the scale for 7 days and you've lost as much weight as in 2 months of agony that you went through, and you lost the most unhealthy weight you could possibly lose? Everybody wants to know, what's the catch? There's no catch. As a matter of fact, those food, 70% of what you're buying, they give you 100% money back guarantee in the first 30 days. I'm not making that. We have nothing to do with us. They do, and nothing's 100%, of course, but this is probably 99.9%. It's so rare when they ever do that. But just get the concept that it's a combination of completely new combinations of food. A third of 30% from the United States or North America, and 70% from around the world. And then these new ways to consume the food. Because 5 days a week, you do something called protein pacing, where, believe it or not, 5 days a week, you're going to be having 4 meals a day. Breakfast, these 5 foods from around the world. Lunch from your grocery store list. Third meal from your grocery. And a fourth meal, the world's most perfect. I know that's freaking people out because you're used to diets. You're thinking deprivation. Deprivation. This has nothing to do with deprivation. This is everything to do with abundance, about giving your body what it needs, but it doesn't need a lot. It doesn't need the huge quantities that we're currently consuming. I don't know if anyone's ever been to Europe, but in Europe, the portion sizes are way smaller. I mean, first time I went over there, I thought, man, I'm going to be hungry. I mean, what I found out was when I was done eating, I was completely full because their food has nutrition. In Europe, they have really small ice boxes. I mean, refrigerators. You know why? Because they basically go shopping every single day to the market and get fresh produce and whatever. It's amazing. It's not happening in this country, of course. That's why we have big fridges to store all this stuff, because we need huge quantities, because our food is almost nutritionally bankrupt. If you took an orange from 30 years ago, they estimate you got to eat about 6 oranges today from a nutritional standpoint of view. Apples, about 8 to 10 apples from 30 years ago to today. Cornell University did a study on spinach from 1953 to today. Iron levels, they say, have decreased by 4,300%. You heard me, 4,300%. That means one bowl of spinach about in 1953 would equal about 40 bowls of spinach today. But it's broccoli, spinach, Brussels, I don't care what it is. Our nutritional values are crashing. And so what happens when we eat, we think we're craving more calories. No, we're craving more nutrition. This worked because this food grouping, allowed the body to function with less quantity. So it worked much more efficiently. I mean, I know it sounds amazing and it sounds too good to be true, but it really isn't. Let's see. What are you saying, bro, older than age? park, and more. I'm not sure what your comment is or your question. So if you want to clarify that, it would be great. But for Joyce or for Lynn or for Eddie, do any of you have any questions for me? I know this sounds crazy, but here's the point. The reason we gave and created the free website, we know that people are going to be skeptical. But you have to understand, when you're talking about 10 peer-reviewed human trial studies, they've already been examined, vetted, whatever word you want to use, by the top medical doctors and researchers in the entire world. That's the point behind a peer-reviewed human trial study. It's set up so that when you're the scientist presenting your work to, in this case, the Obesity Journal, or in that case, the Nature Communications, they have strict rules about if they're going to even consider publishing it. You have to meet real criteria, like how many people, what was the scientific measurement. So it's not just like you submit your study and then they're going to publish it. That's not how it works. And then if they, like in Nature Communications, they're even more stringent. Out of 100 submissions, they look at 7 and they pick 1 to publish, just to give you an idea. And the idea is that the journal, before they'll publish something, they want it vetted by independent, because otherwise, if the journal did the vetting, you'd think, well, there's a conflict of interest there. So that's why they do it like that. And although there are peer-reviewed human trials on other diets, the results, like I just shared with you, they're pitiful. Would you go on a diet to lower calories and lose 16 pounds in a year on average, and up to 40% of what you lost was lean muscle mass? Or do this time-restricted eating, which is a big buzzword? It's all nonsense. They lost 12.6 pounds in a year. But there's even more evidence about that. These are shorter studies. You know, one of the things that I see these influencers telling you on this time-restricted eating where you don't eat for 16 hours, well, the majority of what you're losing is fat. Really? Because you've got to understand that most of the studies done on intermittent, this time-restricted eating, were done on mice and rats until recently. I got a study in my hand here from the Journal of the American Medical Association where they said the new research found that overweight adults who were assigned to routinely fast 16 hours daily gained almost no benefit from it. And over the course of 3 months, they lost 2 to 3.5 pounds. And most of the weight they shed was not body fat, but lean muscle mass. Well, I mean, they either don't know or they're assuming, or I don't want to make any judgments. But what they're telling you is completely wrong. I don't care what diet is. The majority of what you're losing is lean muscle mass, which slows down your metabolism and you gain that's not the worst part. It slows down your own immune system. What in the world are we doing? Why would you go on a diet that would compromise your own immune system? How about being able to fit in those skinny jeans 10 times faster than any diet, and instead of losing lean muscle, gain it and shrink? By the way, in 8 weeks, they shrank their what's called the belly fat, by 33%. Oh, I didn't even tell you the best part. No one was allowed to exercise. No exercise, because the researchers didn't want exercise to be part of it. Now, if you want to exercise, that's fine. But the research, they proved without exercise, this made every diet obsolete. Why would you think about going on a diet to take 8 weeks to lose weight in the most unhealthy way possible when you could do that in a week? And you can see the medical proof. It's there for you to go for free. There's no gimmicks, no tricks. There's no shoe's going to drop or catch. There's no catches. Don't let your skepticism prevent you from changing the rest of your life. I remember when I first did this, I thought my scale was broken. I mean, they have another expression. They say, just give us 4 days, because most of the people in the studies in 4 days lost as much weight as a month of any diet. I told you, in 7 days, they lost as much weight as 2 months, because it's kind of cumulative, right? But how much would that excite you? Women, a whole dress size in 7 days with no exercise? In 8 weeks, people shrank their visceral fat by 33% with no exercise, and that's the least important reason. Lowering blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol, triglycerides, all in 30 days. Hunger came down 41% in a month. Inflammation, which is really what should concern you, it came down 25% in 30 days. So those minor aches and pains and stiffness, let alone more severe conditions, they got better. Do you know that there were people, obviously in the study, that were diabetics and also had high blood pressure and were monitored by their medical doctors, not by the researchers? Do you know after a month that the majority of them the doctors were able to cut their medication by 50% in 30 days? For any of you that might be on medication, you think that would be of interest to you? I know it sounds too good to be true. I do 3 or 4 of these podcasts a day, and then they get rebroadcast or people make copies of them, and they're on all the social media platforms. And I get tremendous pushback. I mean, basically hate mail, saying that I'm an idiot, I'm a snake oil salesman, I don't know what I'm talking about. I did 20 shows on PBS. I've written 4 best-selling books with some of the top medical doctors in the world. I was interviewed on the 4 biggest daytime shows in America and did over 1,500 live lectures around the world. I've spoken in universities and hospitals. They even flew me to China. I kind of think I know what I'm talking about. But I want you to be clear, I'm not the expert, but I became an expert on the experts. So everything I'm sharing with you comes from not my opinion. I don't want you to believe me. I'm serious. The reason we gave you the free medical website is there's nothing to argue about. It's irrefutable evidence. There are before and afters there. If I showed them on social media, they'd take them down. There are people that lost 100 pounds. They have no loose skin. You're going to think we photoshopped it. When you see the pictures, there's an athlete there that in 11 days, the transformation from day 1 to day 12 it's startling. You'd think we photoshopped it. Look, here's something to think about. Just because it wasn't invented doesn't mean it isn't possible. If we went back 35, 40 years ago, could anyone envision Google or the internet, or how about an iPhone? How about GPS? How does that work? I'm still trying to figure that out. What do you mean there's a car on the road? I mean, and we just accept it like nothing. So why is it not possible? When they see the catastrophe of the healthcare, sick care system in this country, that someone was going to figure this out. These researchers did it, and they don't have a product to sell. They don't have a company. They're scientists. And what have they done for you? They've given you a new grocery list of what to buy and how to shop, and then teaching how to consume it. That's what we do. They taught us how to teach people how to consume this based on what they did in the medical studies. This had never been done before. It was a theory. When they started, they didn't know. The researchers themselves said, when we saw those numbers after 7 days, we were shocked. We thought, well, we made a mistake. Something was wrong. This can't be right. I mean, in 22 years, we've helped about 700,000 people lose something like 20 million pounds. And for 20 of those 22 years, we went on anecdotal stories, and there was the science. These studies that are now published, they took 6 years. They started 6 years ago, because to do a human trial takes a long time, a lot of money, and you don't just submit your work and then they put you in. It's a long, because they have to send it out to other world-class experts who analyze all of your data, and their job is to disprove what you're claiming. That's why no drug ever gets approved without a peer-reviewed human trial study. Not mice, not rats, not a scientific paper. That's where you're all getting fooled. You hear this stuff on TV. Whoa, we have an ingredient that's proven scientifically. Yeah, but that ingredient is in such a tiny amount of what they're selling you, you'd have to take 1,000 of their pills to have any real impact. I mean, it's total nonsense. And yet, we keep doing it. I mean, I got a big study here from Johns Hopkins Medical School. Study predicts obesity apocalypse by 2030. In 5 years, they're estimating 86% of Americans are going to be overweight or obese. Again, what are you doing? We're believing what we've been told because that's what was available. We're the canaries in the coal mine. We're saying, we're shaking the trees. We're saying, look, all we want to do is make you aware of what's available. If you think you're going to go to that website, we're going to contact you, you're wrong. We don't do that. When you sign up, if you schedule a free consultation with one of our coaches, they're not going to convince you. They're not going to sell you. They're going to educate you and answer whatever questions you are, and then just show you how you can order directly from the suppliers. And then they're going to coach you and make sure you understand exactly. They'll get you the blueprint for success, which is totally free. And then they're going to guide you and be there to support you, guide you, answer your questions, or be your cheerleader, whatever you desire. You're not an experiment. We know what the heck we're doing. The difference is now we have the certainty of the 10 peer-reviewed human trial medical studies backing this up, including this Nature Communications. Do you know the Nature Communications study was not even about weight loss? You know what it was about? Our gut, our microbiome, our immune system within our gut. Do you know your gut generates pretty much all your emotions? If you ever had a tragedy in your family, you don't say, geez, I feel like I got punched in the head. You typically say, I feel like I got punched in the gut. Yes, So what they found in 30 days, they saw a massive increase in what's called biodiversity of the gut, which has bacteria, viruses, etc. So it's like if you planted a garden, you don't just plant tomatoes. You put maybe tomatoes and beans and corn and whatever. You need a biodiversity, you need a diverse ecosystem. That'd be a good way to say it. That increased by 25% in 30 days. No one's ever seen a result like that. In 8 weeks, people with all kinds of gastrointestinal challenges, you got to read, I can't tell you because I'll get in trouble. But you can see on the web, the studies are on the website. You can click on them and go to them. There it is. And they also, the researchers did a breakdown for you, showing you the high points of what they discovered. In case you have trouble, reading a pretty sophisticated, I can't do it either. I mean, it's above my pay grade in a sense. So they did a nice summary for us. Does this make sense to everybody? Do you all understand? You could completely change your life in a week or in a month. Look, we have people that weigh 600 pounds that are doing this, okay? But most men and women are shocked, but excited. They might, even after the first week, they're probably skeptical, thinking, oh, this can't be. Number one, we're assuring you, it is safe. It was proven in the medical studies, so don't worry about that. You just have to get over the shock of when you look at your scale, you will think it's broken. I'm not kidding you. Who on this right now would not want to be able to lose weight in a week? Why would you take 8 weeks to do it? I don't know. And again, like I said, you can see the websites down there, the New Health Conversation. You can go there for free. 897, welcome on board. But do you understand when you're published in the #1 medical journal in the world? That's a really big deal. But you all have the benefit of that. These researchers, pioneers in this field, took them 38 years to figure it out. And all you're doing really, well, I shouldn't say all, they developed this food list for you to buy, 30% from the grocery store and 70% from these suppliers who've got these foods from around the world, from Russia, Mongolia, Tibet, South America, New Zealand. And then let's call it the recipe. We teach you the recipe. How did they consume this food? When did they? How much? Etc. We lay all that out. We go over all that with you. The coaching's free the whole time. The coaching is free. I hope we're giving you a gift. We're saying, look, here it is. Go take a look. It's free to go there. And if you like what you see, because we won't contact you if you go there. We're not doing that. We don't need to do that. We're not there to convince you or sell you. We don't have time. You know what our big limitation is right now? I'm concerned about? We don't have enough coaches. I mean, I was lecturing. I'd done 1,500 lectures in 20 years all over the world. And then when COVID hit, that all stopped. Thank goodness for social media. And I've only been on it for, 10, 11 months, and we're really starting to build a following now. But sort of the more that I do and the more successful we become, the more, potentially anyway, I don't know, maybe some of you will go on this and you want to become a coach. I don't know. That's up to you, of course. But for right now, we do have enough coaches. And normally, if you do fill out the forms, we'll get back to you within right now about 24 hours or less, just depending on who it is and what it is. And look, we have such a diverse group of people that are doing this. We have kids as young as 2. We have people that are 90. We have a man with a heart transplant. We have people with kidney transplants. We have women with no thyroids. And we're not treating, diagnosing, curing any medical conditions. We're not doing that. But that's why you want to coach. Here's my point. If you could join the gym and they gave you a free personal trainer, would you turn it down? I hope not. And this is not a diet. This isn't just a simple thing like, okay, here's the recipe for lunch. No, it doesn't work like that. It's more complicated than that, but we make it easy for you. I know it sounds too good to be true, and I know you're skeptical, but it's almost like, and this is not a pun, what do you have to lose? At least go to the website and look at the medical proof or not. Or you can believe influencers that are giving you opinions with no facts. It's just opinion. That's all they're doing. And there's medical doctors and chiros and dietitians and these weight loss coaches and health coaches. They don't have one shred of medical evidence. None. Zero. Why are we listening to, well, I'm not, of course, now. But would you be excited if you stood on the scale on the 8th morning and you've lost as much weight as in 8 weeks of any diet with no exercise? I would hope so. But the main reason to do it, like I said, is not to lose weight. It's to help your body detox, get rid of the chemicals we're storing inside of us. Whether you knew it or not, you are. Right now, we're breathing in the fumes from the coal-fired power plants in China, the lithium and the cadmium and the mercury from 2 weeks ago, or 3, depending where you live. This is a worldwide problem. To give you an idea, the Lancet, which is one of the big medical journals in the world out of England, they just concluded a study in March of 2024, so 9 months ago. And they now say they estimate 1 out of 8 billion people, 1 billion in the world are clinically obese, not overweight. They went on to say, making obesity the leading form of malnutrition in the world. What? Further, they said, people don't understand that being underweight or being overweight are both forms of malnutrition because people are not getting the right amounts of vitamins, minerals, and nutrients necessary to support the best health of the human body. America, we're dying. Every disease statistic is out. Thank God we have these drugs. We have 50% of Americans pre-diabetic. Are you kidding me? If that's not a warning sign, what would be? I mean, again, you don't have to, but does anybody have any questions? Because I love to, answer your questions or address them or, whatever, or you don't have to do that. And the only thing I would encourage all of you to do is go to that website, The New Health Conversation, and see what you think. I mean, again, can you afford to not go there and think that when there's no way you could know? If you're going to make a decision, make it based on real medical proof, not on before and after pictures, it's all there. And there's an interview with the #1 weight loss nutrition physiologist in the world, and he says they'll never recommend, they've been doing this for 38 years, thousands of people they've helped. He said they'd never recommend a traditional diet ever again. He said it would be unethical. Because again, they'd say, like I'd say to you, why would you take 8 weeks to lose weight in the most unhealthy way when you could do that in a week and have it be safe weight loss? That's the part that sounds too good to be true. Oh, there's got to be a catch. Where's the other shoe going to drop? There's no other shoes dropping. The reason they're not dropping is there are 10 peer-reviewed human trial studies backing up everything I'm telling you. It's right in the report. You can see it yourself if you go to the website. Is that not fair? Are we being unfair? And really, the program is pretty simple. Not really, because the researchers, they had to figure it out. Could we put together food groups where you could reduce the amount of food you were consuming, but not reduce the amount of nutrition? That's it. So if you could do it in January, basically 30% of the food you'd order from your grocery store, the other 70% from these 5 foods from around the world, from these suppliers, not from the researchers, not from us, but directly from, that's what you're doing. You're buying a month's worth of food. I know it sounds too good to be true, but it's not. Because it's not food you can buy at your local grocery store. And the other thing that I think I've mentioned before, this is called R2M, race to maintenance. Well, maintenance is really simple. Basically, you have minimum. You have the world's most perfect meal for breakfast. Then you just eat 2 normal meals and you're back to your life and that's it. I mean, like I said, I did this 22 years ago. I lost 40 pounds in 7 weeks. I've kept it off for 22 years. Hello. Maintenance is, the fun part is maintenance. Because you've done the great work to get to your goal but that's the end of the beginning. It's not the end. It's the start of it's your journey. It's not a destination. That's the problem with diets. I want to lose weight. I'm going to a wedding. I'm going to an anniversary. Oh, it's January 2nd. Oh, I'm going to go to the Caribbean. I want to fit in my bathing suit. Those are all the problem. They're always a destination with an end, a start and an end. Well, that's not how life works. At least I don't think. So the idea that you could lose the weight and keep it off for the rest of your life, doesn't that make you a little bit curious? See, the problem is we have all these opinions that people are giving us. Opinion after opinion after opinion after opinion after opinion. But opinions aren't facts. They're just opinions. So why is America not abolish dangerous food like you? Tanuki, why is America not charging the health care system? Oh, I think you meant changing the healthcare system. I'm sorry. Um, it's real simple, Tanaki. It's profit. Because the food companies have realized that by putting chemicals in our food and or sugar, it's much cheaper than nutrition. That's exactly what they've done. Do you know, maybe you know this, Tanaki, there's about 1,000 chemicals that are legal in the United States to be used in food that are totally banned in Europe. I have people all the time that go in, like Italy, and they'll go and they have pasta, they'll have pizza, and they come back and they've actually lost weight. And the first thing you know about Europe, the serving sizes are much smaller than what we have here. And yet somehow you're full. That was when I first went to Europe the first time. I said, I'm going to be, I looked at the plate and I said, I need like 2 servings here. Because American mentality, right? Bigger. Somehow bigger equates to like more nutrition. It doesn't, because our food is almost nutritionally bankrupt. And it's getting worse and worse every single day. So it's a really great question, Tanaki. And again, let me put the website up. You can go if you want. This is a free website. There's nothing. It's right there. You can see it, the New Health Conversation. It's free to go there. All the medical proof you can see. You can sign up if you schedule a free consultation if you want. But there's no requirement. Like, we're not making you have a consultation to see the medical proof. We're completely transparent. Everything up front. I see some of these influencers that want to sell you their app, and then they'll give you recipes, and then you'll get a coach. That's backwards. That's nonsense. And they have no medical proof for what they're talking about. It's nonsense. Without a peer-reviewed human trial study, it doesn't mean anything. I can say that because for 20 years, I had before and afters and stories, and in the medical world, it meant zero. No medical doctors would even take a look at this until now. With these medical studies, we got medical doctors and PAs and registered nurses and dietitians and nutritionists across the board. They were looking for this. They just couldn't find it. These researchers, it took them 38 years to figure this out. When you look at it initially, say, well, this is pretty simple. No, it's not that simple, because they had to figure out first, okay, how deficient is our food in North America? That's why they limited the amount of food that you would do on this to only 30% from the grocery store. And the other 70% from these foods from around the world that had tremendous amounts of nutrition, not tremendous amounts of volume or quantity of food. Does this make sense to everybody? Yeah, exactly. I'm the researcher of researchers. That's exactly right. Oh, you're talking about my TikTok? I think that's my TikTok site. I'm not even sure. Maybe you can validate that for me. People put that up there all the time. Heck, because I'm not a how can I say? I'm not a social media expert. I'm pretty good researcher, but so I'm learning some of these things. Like, people will say hi to me on here. I don't know how to say hi back in terms of a text. I just say hello or hi. So I didn't even want to try to pronounce your name, because I know I'll make a mistake, and I don't like mispronouncing people's names. Okay, I'm just amazed at the richest country I can't see the bottom of your text for some reason. I don't know why that is. I can't see. I'm just amazed at the richest country and that's all I can read, Tanaki. What? Maybe you can type more in there for me, because I'm not reading after in. You're probably intimating, why isn't the richest country in the world having the best nutrition on the planet? Because we don't. I mean, it's really just that simple. So, Tanaki, I'm just curious, are you trying to lose weight? Do you want to just be healthier? Do you want to build muscle? What would be your motivation in taking a look at this, which is what I would encourage all of you to do. Look, you can go, Debbie. Hello, Lynn 0724. Look, the world's top medical journal, Nature Communications, new study is going to make every diet you've ever known obsolete. It is. And this is medical proof. The people men and women in these studies lost as much weight in 7 days as 8 weeks of any diet you've ever been on. Most women lost a whole dress size in 7 days with no exercise. No one was allowed to exercise. They lost as much weight in a month as a year of diets, lost no water, and gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass with no exercise. Not that they're against exercise. You certainly can exercise if you want to do this. But the researchers didn't let people exercise because they didn't want that to be a factor, if that makes sense. So again, Tanaki, I can't read the rest. I don't know how to answer your question because I can't read the rest of your, let's see, is there a way that I can reposition this somehow? Oh, okay. I'm just amazed that the richest country in the world has such, yeah, you're exactly right. But it's profit. It's so much more profitable to put chemicals and sugar in our food than nutrition. There's your answer, Tanaki. That's it. Okay. So Joyce or Christine or Alla or anybody, would you like to ask me any questions? What's so amazing is I understand that people freak out when they hear this and they think it's not real and they jump off. But Christina, how excited would you be to lose a whole dress size in 7 days with no exercise, lose as much weight in 7 days as 8 weeks of dieting, lose as much weight in a month as a year on diets, lose no water and gain 6 to 9% lean muscle mass? See, I set up my own skepticism when I tell you that. But it's in the studies. There's 10 peer-reviewed human trial medical studies, 10 of them proving it, including this Nature Communications, which is the #1 medical journal in the world. And that study was about, not even about the weight loss people achieve, but the improvement in their gut health, their microbiome. And it's on the website. You can go and see the studies. They're there. We're not hiding anything. If you go to our website, you can see it down there, the New Health Conversation. We don't contact you. We don't do that. But you, once you see the medical proof, you can scroll down and sign up for a free personal consultation if you want with one of our coaches. It's completely free. And if you do decide to do it, that coach will be your coach as you go through this, because we don't sell you anything. The researchers don't sell you anything. The researchers put together your food groups that you're going to be consuming. And how you're consuming. So 50% is the ingredients, and the other 50% is, let's call it the recipe, for lack of a better term. These results have never been seen before in 38 years of in any medical study ever in history. In history, no one's ever seen results like this. And that's why people get so skeptical. I understand that. I support their skepticism. And look, you can do whatever you want to do. All you really need to do is to go and take a look at the website. Hi, Kai. So, I mean, doesn't it shock all of you that you can lose as much weight in a week as in 8 weeks of dieting and it's safe and you're not losing water or lean muscle mass? Doesn't that seem like that's crazy? I know. I do this all the time. Oh, wow, we're coming up on an hour. So I'm going to go about 7 or 8 more minutes. So if anybody would like to ask me a question, please do. I'm more than happy, and I'll stay around a little bit longer. If you ask me a question, I will make sure that I answer it in full. But normally, this is my third one today or fourth one. I've lost track. But again, our goal here is to educate you. So Joyce, at a minimum, no, it doesn't involve fasting. Listen to me. Let me explain to you. It's intermittent nutritional fasting. Okay? So 5 days a week, you're doing something called protein pacing. On those days, you're going to have 4 meals a day. On the intermittent nutritional fasting days, you have 4 meals a day. Just no food from the grocery store. You're only having these 5 foods from around the world. It's fasting with nutrition. I know that sounds like an oxymoron. That's why this works. But they couldn't do it with just regular food from the supermarket because our food is so nutritionally bankrupt that the body would go in starvation mode. And that's what happens when you fast, by the way, especially for more than 24 hours. This is 48 hours, but it's nutritionally supported. And that's why, listen, people's hunger went down 41% in the first 30 days. That doesn't happen on a fast. And if you go more than 24 hours on a fast, I promise you, the main thing you're losing is lean muscle mass. Study after study proves that. That's what makes this so unique. You could never do it with even organic food in this country. You'd be bankrupt of nutrition and your body wouldn't create the benefits of fasting. But when you can fast with nutrition, I know it sounds like an oxymoron, but it's crazy good. Crazy. And you can see the results. You can see the results on the website. I'm going to put it underneath your name there for you again, even though it's above your name. Hold on, let me put it there. Okay, so what kind of food from around the world can I have an example? Okay, so let's define food a little bit differently, if we may. Okay, just bear with me. Food is nutrition. Okay, so when we're talking about food, what we're really talking about is what's in the food, the nutrition. And that's what even Harvard Medical School, they pointed out when they said, I've got it over here, so I want to get the direct quote so you know that I'm not making things up. Stop counting calories, they said. The idea of a calorie in, calorie out when it comes to weight loss is not only antiquated, it's just wrong. They said drop the calories notion. It's more important that we concentrate on what's in our food, not how much food we're consuming, okay? So when I talk about foods, I'm talking about nutrition. So I'll give you an example. One of the things we're the most deficient in our food in North America, even if you do organic, are what are called trace ionic minerals. There's 70 that we need, okay? So Nancy, in the best organic you can buy, you get 20 out of 70. So it doesn't matter how much you consume, you still only have 20. What about the other 50? Now, what are trace ionic minerals? They're not iron, calcium, magnesium. They're things like gold and silver and zinc and beryllium and boron and molybdenum, to give you examples, okay? So the researchers, man, remember, they're assembling the world's most perfect meal nutritionally. So think of food differently now. Think about that the food is the fuel to run all the organs in the body called nutrition, right? So they found a source with all 70 minerals in it. Okay, number two, one of the most important things for a human being, sounds like you're knowledgeable, you've heard the term amino acids, okay? But there's a lot of confusion about this. People are telling you to consume like 120 grams of protein a day. Okay, the only reason to ingest protein is for what's inside the protein. There are 9 essential amino acids and 11 that are not, a total of 20. So you ingest a plant protein or an animal protein, you get all 20 amino acids. Well, believe it or not, that means nothing. In Europe, about 10 years ago, they developed a test called net nitrogen utilization. When you ingest protein, you get all 20 amino acids from plants or an animal, but they could tell you what percentage, 0 to 100, were you actually absorbing, being used by the body. Well, this makes vegans mad. I hope you're not a vegan. Well, if you are, I'm asking for forgiveness in advance. Vegan proteins, the absorption is between 10 and 15% out of 100. 85% of a vegan protein is complete toxic waste called nitrogen catabolites that the kidneys have to get rid of. Number two, all animal proteins, steak, chicken, liver, fish, they're 30%, okay? The researchers found a source where the absorption of the amino acids was 91%, okay? I'll give you a third example of something you couldn't ever find in an American grocery store. They're called adaptogens. They come from Manchuria. What do adaptogens do? They massively lower stress in the body and massively lower inflammation. So rather than think it's a talking point, if you go and look at the medical studies on their website, you'll see that inflammation, for the first time ever, came down 25% in 30 days. So that's when I'm talking about the world's most perfect meal in foods. I'm talking about the nutrition that you just can't get in North America in our food. I don't care what you do. It's not an option. Our food used to be more nutritionally dense, but over the course of the last 100 years, through over farming and herbicides and pesticides, the nutritional values have crashed. So that's the best way that I can, potentially answer it. So 30% of the food you would get organic from the grocery store, and you get a list. See, really what the researchers were shooting for, could they lower the amount of food you'd consume, but not lower the amount of nutrition? So they put together this food package, 30% from the grocery store and 70%. They didn't find these foods, these other suppliers did. And they picked these 5 foods, the researchers did, to create the world's most perfect meal from a nutritional standpoint of view. Hopefully that makes sense. And what were the results? In 7 days, men and women lost as much weight as 8 weeks of any diet that's ever been studied. Most women lost a whole dress size in a week. In a month, men and women lost as much weight in a month as a year on diets, lost no water, and gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass. You show me any diet. It's out of the realm of any diet ever. But also blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol, triglycerides, all came down dramatically in 30 days. Hunger came down 41% in 30 days. Again, it wasn't about quantity, it was about the quality. And of course, then the way that people consumed it. So it's not 50% is the food, like, I'm sure you cook. Well, you know that you can have the ingredients, but if you don't have the recipe, you're not going to make anything. I mean, you might make something, but what temperature for how long? So this whole protocol, which is laid out exactly, the researchers put this together. It's called the Blueprint Success, which is exactly what they did in the medical trials. And you can see, I know you can't read them, these yellows, they're all daily instructional videos from the researchers. It's all free because 50% is what you're going to consume. But the other, maybe even more than 50% important, is the regimen of what you do, when you do, how much, etc. That's all free. So the only thing you're really buying is food that you would normally buy the food for the month. Only 70% of what you're buying is coming from Russia, Mongolia, Manchuria, South America, New Zealand. I know it sounds simple, but it's a little bit more complicated. And then you get a free coach. Free. It'd be like, imagine if you could join the gym and get a free personal trainer. Wouldn't you? Don't you think you get a much? I know I have a personal trainer. I don't know how to use all that equipment. He does, and he monitors, what I'm doing. And it's the same thing here. These coaches, they can be your friend, they can be a cheerleader, but they're also there to answer any questions that aren't answered because you get this blueprint. And these are, they're on your email. You click and you get to watch the daily videos with these are the top weight loss nutrition physiologists in the world. Where do you get to do that? That's why this works. You're doing exactly what they did in the medical trials. Exactly what they consumed, when they consumed it, how much they consumed it, and the foods they consumed, including these 5 foods from around the world that the researchers don't sell you. We don't sell you anything. Just think you're taking a month's worth of food and you're buying it starting out. But listen to this. Those suppliers, they give you 100% money back guarantee in the first 30 days. No questions. They'll even pay return shipping. And of course, nothing's 100%. But heck, this is probably 99%. It's so rare when anybody ever asks for a refund because the results are mind-boggling. If anything, people are in disbelief. Normally, when they stand on the scale after a week, they think their scale broke. I'm not kidding you. I have nurses that weigh themselves at home and went into the hospital and reweighed themselves because they couldn't believe the numbers. I know it's hard to believe. I really do. But I said earlier on, I talked about the fact just because it wasn't invented doesn't mean it wasn't possible. And these researchers, they'd spent 38 years, 100 studies, thousands of people figuring out what? Diets don't work in the long run. That up to 40% of what you lose on any diet is your lean muscle mass. And every person, every time, gain back all their weight or more. So, okay, Nancy, that's a wonderful question. I'm sorry, I didn't see it right away. The program itself, Nancy, is called R2M. Race to maintenance. So stage 1 is to get you to your goal, whatever that is. Because we have people who want to gain weight. We have kids as young as 2 doing this. We have people at 90. We have a guy with a heart transplant, people with kidney transplant. I mean, it's crazy, right? But anyway, once you've reached your goal, then maintenance is the whole key to the whole thing. Nancy, 22 years ago I did this. I lost 40 pounds in 7 weeks. I kept it off for 22 years. Maintenance is as simple as the world's most perfect meal. That's your breakfast every day. Then you have 2 normal meals. And then maybe once every 2 or 3 months, do another 48-hour intermittent nutritional fast because the toxins aren't going on vacation. It's that simple. Most people feel that in the long run, once they go on maintenance, their total food budget actually goes down as much as 25% because the cravings that you now have are they're pretty much gone in the first month. It's not that I still don't have pizza or, ribs or whatever, but way more infrequently than I used to, but I don't hold back. It's like we tell people, we got Christmas and New Year's coming up. We just had people go through Thanksgiving. We tell them, enjoy yourself, have gravy, whatever, because this program is not a diet. It doesn't work like that. So if you have 1 day of indulgence or 2 days, it doesn't mess you up. Once you've gotten to your goal, that's why it's called R2M, race to maintenance. And Nancy, we coach you for free, not just the initial consultation, but until you get to your goal once you're on maintenance, that's it. I know it sounds too good to be true, but it's not. It's better than that. There's no hitches. There's no glitches. There's no, when's the other shoe going to drop? There's no other shoe dropping. This is the real deal, and it's backed by 10 peer-reviewed human trial studies, which are on the website. Well, the 3 from the biggest medical journals are on there. The other ones are, they're not that they're lesser journals, but the 3 most important ones are on the website. But more importantly, Nancy, an interview with the #1 nutritional research weight loss physiologist in the world who he and his team invented this. You know what they said in the interview? I asked them, would you ever recommend a traditional diet again? They said, it would be unethical for us as scientists to ever recommend to any of our patients a traditional diet again. They said, Peter, why? So in your case, Nancy, why would you? No, it doesn't involve a bunch of recipes. Absolutely not. That's what it has nothing to do with recipes, okay? It has to do with portion control. It has to do with timing. It's completely different, okay? So I know that other people are promoting that you can buy, 200 recipes. Nonsense, okay? That's not the point of this. So again, your coach there are recipes. If you want them, we can send them, but that's not how this works, okay? But again, that's why you set up a free schedule, a free consultation with one of our coaches. They'll go over all this with you for free. And Nancy, they're not, look, if you think you're going to go there and you're going to sign up and they're going to try and strong arm you or convince, we don't do that. We don't need to do that. We've got the medical proof. We're showing you everything up front on the website first. So it's not like you schedule the consult and then we're going to show you. No, other people, they're charging you for an app. It's a bunch of nonsense. You got to buy their app to then get their recipe and then get a coach? No, 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 not crazy. And the recipes are given you with food from North America that's all but nutritionally bankrupt. So on those things, you're going to lose lean muscle mass. We already know it. This big study right here on this time-restricted eating, this nonsense, it really makes me crazy that they tell you that the majority of what you're losing on intermittent, this time-restricted eating is fat. Well, here's a study done by the Journal of the American Medical Association, but the new research found that overweight adults who were assigned to routinely fast 16 hours a day gained almost no benefit from it, and they lost an average in 3 months of 2 to 3.5 pounds, and most of the weight they shed was not body fat, but lean muscle mass. Do you see the inconsistent, I don't want to accuse people of things, but at minimum, it's misinformation, at a minimum. And all they have is before and after pictures. For 20 years, I had before and afters. You know, in the medical community, you know how much that meant? 0. Now we have 10. None of them have one shred of medical evidence about what they're telling you. They're giving you opinions. Oh, calories in, calories out, the way to lose weight. Really? Well, in 1964, we had 3.6% of the population overweight and obese, and now it's 80%? That sounds like that really is working, that calorie in, calorie out thing. I get so animated because I want to share this information. And I'll share something with all of you in conclusion. My own mother was morbidly obese my whole life. I never knew her thin. I never knew her healthy. And 23 years ago, before I became a researcher, she called me up one day and she said, Peter, I have a really big wish. I said, what's that, Mom? She said, I would give anything if I could just spend 24 hours thin. I said, wow, Mom, that's really cool. Well, 6 months later, massive heart attack and stroke. I loved my mom. I went through fat shaming. I saw all that crap. My mom did about every diet that there was 23 years ago. Hell, she'd cut diets out of the National Enquirer, out of Reader's Digest. She did the grapefruit diet. I couldn't even name all the diets. I'd see her lose 20 pounds and gain 25 back. She'd lose 25 and gain 30 back. I believe, I can't prove it, she dieted herself to death. Why? Because on every diet, you're losing lean muscle mass. Wait a minute. Is our heart a muscle? And what she died of a massive heart attack and stroke. You know that late stage anorexia, maybe some of you are old enough to remember Karen Carpenter, one of the greatest voices ever. She had extreme anorexia. When she died, she was literally skin and bones. She lost all her fat, all her muscle, and her body literally began, it's called catabolic metabolism. It began to eat her heart, and she died of a heart attack. You know, I can't prove it, but I'm pretty sure that my mom, at a minimum, had that as certainly a contributing factor. So this is really personal for me. The reason I get so animated is I want to try and help as many people as I couldn't help my mom. My mom didn't get a do-over, but all of you, including you, Nancy, you get and I'm not saying you have any of those conditions, so don't read into anything I'm saying other than real concern and real care for everybody. All we want to do is make you aware of what's available. We don't want to have to sell you. We don't have to convince you. That's way too tiring. And we only have so much time. See, our limitation, we only have so many coaches. It's true. I mean, I guess the more successful I am on social media, then we're going to have to start rationing or something. I don't know. We're okay for now. But again, the need is, we have 80% of America overweight, 50% obese, 50% pre-diabetic. None of these diets work. And people are going to rush to this on January 2nd. We all know that. But January 2nd, 2026, they're going to be on another diet because they've lost the weight and gained it all back and say, well, that diet didn't work. Or they blame themselves. It's not your fault. It's totally the wrong way to look at this. When you lower the amount of food you're consuming, you're lowering the amount of nutrition, which sets the brain. It goes nuts thinking you're going to die. And in starvation mode, the body won't let you burn fat. It won't. I'm pretty healthy, just about 20 pounds overweight. I would love to lose 20 pounds once. Okay, so Nancy, How excited would you be if in the first week you lose 8 to 10, probably 8 pounds with no exercise? How much would that excite you? 20 pounds easily in the first, let's say 3 to 4 weeks at the most. And then we're going to teach you how to stay there. But also you're going to increase your health. The main reason to do this, Nancy, yeah, exactly. I got it. I just, people are crying all the time. I can't talk about on social media, the coaches can. And actually, Nancy, every Thursday night, we do a 100% results call where people come on and share their stories. That's a Kleenex night because this is way beyond just weight loss stories, I'm telling you. And obviously, any of the people that are part of, it's called the New Health Conversation. That's the movement. That's also the website. But the stories are so inspirational. We have people as young as, I think on the call, we got people like in teenagers, and I know we have one lady that's 90 who was in a nursing, I can tell you this part. She was in a nursing home. This was about, well, her younger sister's 80 and has lost 70 pounds. She lost 70 pounds in about 6.5 months, just to put it in perspective. But her older sister was in a nursing home on a walker, and she fell down like 3 times in a week. And her sister, the 80-year-old, put the 90-year-old on this protocol or part of it in, I think it was 3 weeks. No more walker. I think she's taken like martial arts. She's 90. But again, it makes sense. Her body had never experienced this level of nutrition, and so it changed her whole life. It's not about the weight loss as I'm sure you're not going to be disappointed if you lose 20 pounds in 3 weeks or less. I don't think you'd be. I mean, Nancy, be honest with me. Does it sound too good to be true that you could lose 20 pounds, let's say, in 3-4 weeks at the most with no exercise? Does that sound crazy? But once a month, I like a little wine. Can I have that in maintenance? Oh my God, yes. Maintenance. Oh, look, in maintenance, go for it. Wine, pizza, whatever. But you're going to consume less of it. Does that make sense? Because we have the medical proof. You'll see it if you go there. Hunger for people came down 41% in 30 days, not 30 weeks. Nancy, you ever been on a diet at the end of 30 days? Aren't you about ready to eat your couch? Right? Yes. Nancy, I know, and for all of you, Nancy, Joyce, user 123 or 541, I know it sounds, laugh out loud, yes, of course. You're making me laugh. It's so, at times this is really fun. I mean, the part that I don't enjoy so much is the fact that people are so ingrained in this calories in, calories out thing that, again, they want to take me on. But really, there's nothing to take on because we have 10 peer-reviewed human trial studies that are irrefutable evidence that you can't argue with a peer-reviewed human trial study. It'd be one thing if we had 1 or 2 or 3, but there's 10 in the biggest medical journals in the world. So Nancy, I'm going to put it down there for you one more time, although I think you saw it before. Okay, so why is it not posting? Okay, here we go. So you can see it there, the New Health Conversation. That's where you go. So you're laughing out loud because, again, it sounds too good to be true. Am I correct? It's just like, what? I mean, oh my gosh. I was on the fence about taking Ozempic, but I'm skeptical. Don't take it, Nancy. Let me give you the medical proof. New England, you can look this up. I don't want you to believe me. New England Journal of Medicine, semaglutide, which is kind of a sister to Ozempic, right? 68 weeks, the study. Average weight loss in 68 weeks, 32 pounds in 68 weeks. And right in the study, it said of the 32 pounds people lost, 40% was lean muscle mass. So you're 20 pounds on this? I mean, on the Ozempic? Probably take you about a year. Do you want to do it in a year, or would you rather do it in 3 to 4 weeks? I know I'm being ridiculous and silly, because I am ridiculous and silly, okay? You do this all day long. No, but it's really inspiring because I call it the psychic income, where the people, share their, like I said on that Thursday night call, if you ever did this, it's open to, any of the people that are on the program. And if you want to share your results, it just helps other people. But like I said, the stories are unbelievable, almost like science fiction. But I know they're real because our coaches are coaching them, et cetera. So it's really a community. And Nancy, don't you think I would eat the couch? Yeah, exactly. Um, would you put salt on it or salt and pepper or what would you put on your couch to eat it? I'm punch drunk. This is my third, I think this is my third live that I've done today, but this I'm really enjoying. Cheese, okay. Nancy, I'm just curious, what part of the country do you live in? What time? Because it's 5:20. I'm in Denver. It's 5:20 my time. I know it's 7:20 on the East Coast. I'm just curious because people, it seems like when I do these later in the day, I actually, there's more people that are, I guess, but this is the weekend, so it's not like people are off work, et cetera, you know? So it's just, it's wonderful. But so Nancy, I guess the most important thing for you is to go to the website, see the medical proof, and then if you want, because again, let me say it for the 25th time, we're not going to contact you. So don't think you're going there and you're going to get a phone call from us because you're not. Only way we'll contact you is if you contact us by scrolling down, sign up for a free personal consultation. But so let's just play for a moment, Nancy. Let's just say you could start January 2nd. How excited would you be if, let's say by the last week in January, you're down 20 pounds? How much would that incentivize you? But then the key, you got to understand, we're going to teach you how to maintain it. So don't do it. If you're thinking about you're going to lose the 20 pounds and that's it, don't even do it. Don't waste your time. Don't waste. But you understand you're buying food. But the recipe is the critical part to show you exactly how to consume that food, when to consume it, how much to consume it. It's all laid out, and that's what your coaches do, etc. Oh, look at Gucci Mama. I've lost 20 pounds on this. See? I didn't even know. And I trust me, it's not a plant, Nancy. I didn't know she was going to be on here because we have so many people that are doing this, and they're all the coaches. And you know, obviously I'm the scientist, and I'm the one that does the live presentations, and then the coaches work with people. I lost 20 pounds, but I feel so much better. Wow. Thank you, Gucci. That's wonderful. Do you see that, Nancy? No, you're not barging in at all. Gucci Mama, what had you tried in the past? Just if you don't mind filling us in. Nancy, watch this. This is really cool. I didn't know that. I had no idea I don't even know who she is, but she must have. So, see, she tried everything, Nancy. Wow. So, is it, no worries. No, but I mean, but Nancy, isn't that unbelievable? That just so happens she calls in, she lost 20 pounds. Oh my gosh, this is some days it's just really a lot of fun, like right now. So Nancy, are you clear on the new health conversation? Let me put it in one last time. And no spaces, right? And you don't have to capitalize it. It can be all lowercase. Yeah, I tried diet, exercise. The problem was I wasn't getting enough protein and nutrients. Wow. Well, Gucci Mama, you made my day. I have to say for all of you, this is a great way to close this podcast out. So I wish all of you, you know, what's amazing for everybody, this goes all over the world, right? So I got people in India, I got people in Europe, I got people in Spain, I got people in Australia that are all on this. And I was eating too many toxic foods. But see, the most important thing, that's the thing to note, Nancy. Notice she said that she feels fantastic. So much better, she says. That's the big bonus to this because it's going to lower your stress, your mental acuity, your brain fog. You're going to sleep better at night and you're going to have more energy. That's the key. But doesn't it make sense? If you could buy gasoline and you could get 100 miles to the gallon, you know how much more efficient, how much longer your car would last? Our body is a machine. So it's real simple. The less quantity we can consume, as long as we don't sacrifice quality, that's the key. And that's what this does. Okay? I used to get very sleepy in the afternoons, but now I feel alert. Oh, yeah, Mara, how long did it take you to lose the 20 pounds? Oh, wait, I want to hear the answer because I don't know. I really don't. But you saw she tried diet, exercise. You know, again, she wasn't getting enough nutrients. She realized that. So Gucci Mama, I want, please answer for Mara. Mara. And Mara, you understand you can go, that's what Gucci Mama did. She went to that website, liked what she saw. I had to stop for a month, the program, so I had a gap. But but listen, look at that, Gochi Mama. She lost 7 pounds in the first week. No, did you see that? How long did it take? Oh, Nancy, she just said she didn't, I had to stop for a month. She started over. She lost 7 pounds in the first week. Yeah, see, now are you interested, Mara? Gucci Mama, this is so great. I'm loving this. But Nancy, is that crazy? She lost 7 pounds in a week. I told you. I told you. I don't know, maybe it was for personal reasons. I'm not quite sure, but for some, I mean, Mama, if you want to share with us, that's cool. If you don't, it's okay. Yeah, that's insane. I got it. I know. Nancy, believe me, I know. And I'm supporting your skepticism. That's the thing. But we can't make this up. You understand? I don't know her. I have no idea who she is. She was obviously on one of my podcasts and went and signed up for a free schedule. And I'm just curious, Gucci, who's your coach? If you don't mind sharing with us. And again, if you don't mind, how come you stopped for a month? I'm just curious. And you don't have to answer if you don't want to. Now you've got me curious. Oh, you have a great coach, Gucci. I'm very prejudiced. Just to let you know, Nancy, so Colin, that's my son. He actually trains the coaches. He's been on this for 22 years and he's a fantastic athlete. He didn't do it to lose weight, but he had severe anxiety, depression, concentration problems. And literally in a week, that all changed. And that was 20 some years ago. And he's now, look at him, he's running, he teaches all the coaches. So anyway, we had travel for work and a death in the family. Okay, so Nancy, she answered your question. Did you see that? We had travel for work and I had a death in the family. Okay? But Gucci Mama, was it one of the greatest decisions you've ever made for yourself? A gift to you? Yeah. So Nancy, aren't you even more intrigued now? Insane, 7 pounds in a week. Nancy, I know you think it's a plant, okay? I promise oh my gosh. Oh, this is so great. This is just wonderful. I mean, honestly, Nancy, isn't this just, you understand? I mean, when I'm being totally open and honest with people, and it makes people more skeptical because it's so crazy that no diet. I mean, honestly, Nancy, when was the last time you lost 7 pounds? And how long did it take you? I guarantee it wasn't 7 days. Oh my God. Oh my gosh. On HCG, yeah. One of the worst things you ever did, by the way, because I promise you, the main thing you lost on that was lean muscle. And how miserable were you on that at 500 calories a day? What a bunch of nonsense. Yeah, and it came off quick. But how quickly did it come back? That's the key. No, because I've had lots of people that have done HCG. Look, we've had people that have done everything you can imagine on the planet, right? So anyway, I will. Okay, now, yeah, I do have to run. So any last comments, Nancy, or anybody else that's on here, Mara, or anybody? Otherwise, I'm going to invite. Is this a protocol or products? I just came in a few minutes ago, so missed most. Okay, so Mara, it's food. 30%, you get a grocery list from the researchers who created this, who are the top weight loss researchers in the world for 38 years. So a third of the food you consume, you'd buy from the grocery store, you actually get a grocery list. The other 70% come from 5 food groups from around the world, from Russia, Mongolia, Tibet, and the Himalayas, South America, New Zealand. Okay? You buy that, all the food you're buying has not from the researchers, not from us. You're buying it either at your grocery store when you have a list, or you're buying it from these suppliers who supplied these 5 foods to the researchers, right? Then there's 2 new ways of consuming the food. I'll go over that with you real briefly. So 7 days a week, 5 of the days, you do something called protein pacing. On 5 days, you're going to have 4 meals a day, completely different a diet. You have the 5 foods, that's your breakfast. Lunch from the grocery list, a 3rd meal from the grocery list, and a 4th meal, these 5 foods, which the researchers call the world's most perfect meals. Again, the researchers don't sell anything. They don't have a company. They don't have any products. We don't have a product. We're not selling you anything. You're buying directly from those suppliers, right? Then 2 days a week out of 7, so 5 days, you're having 4 meals a day. Then 2 days a week, you do something called intermittent nutritional fasting, not fasting. On those days, no food from the grocery store, only these 5 foods around the world 4 times a day, about every 3 hours. Okay, that's it. And what did people do? Well, you just saw her. She lost 7 pounds in 7 days. Hello? I gave it to my mother-in-law when she was sick. It helped her quite a bit. Wow. Delicious. Makes me get sick much less often. Wow. Well, anyway, it's all it's all good. So anyhow, so Mara, does that make sense? And what you want to do, Mara, is all the information. But let me show you. You go to the website and there's a much more detailed explanation of exactly what you do. Hold on just a second. And there's an interview with the #1 nutritional researcher in the world, who's the one that he and his team invented this. They're the ones that created it. They're the top weight loss researchers in the world. It's all free to go there. And if you go there, Mara, we're not going to contact you. So don't worry, you're going to go there and we're going to get a phone. No, we don't do that. If and when you look at everything and you like what you see, scroll down to the bottom and schedule a free consultation with one of our coaches. It's completely free. Not only the original consultation, but that coach will be with you the whole time for free. So basically, think of it this way. You're going to wipe clean whatever food you think you'd be eating. You start, 30% of what you're going to buy is from your grocery store. The other 70% are from these foods from around the world that you can't buy in your grocery store. And your coach will help you with ordering directly from them, not from us, okay? That's how it works, all right? And also, I should tell you, those 5 foods, Mara, from around the world, they come, you ready for this? 100% money back guarantee the first 30 days. Sounds too good to be true? Go check it out, okay? So anyway, I'm going to say, I always am worried. Should I say good night, good morning, good afternoon? Because this is going all over the world, okay? But anyway, I hope you all enjoyed it, and I hope you learned something, and I hope you will go, Mara, I hope you will go to that website. Before I close off, do you see it there, Mara? You realize the new health conversation for all of you, for a matter of fact. Do you see it there, the new health conversation? I don't want to sign off until I make sure that you've captured that research site. Okay, great. All right, everybody have a great rest of whatever 24 hours you're on, okay? See you, everybody. Thanks, Gucci. Bye-bye.